So I get home and I check my answering machine and there's a message on it, and I'm like, hey, yeah, that's really odd because I have no friends and telemarketers don't leave messages. So I check it and it's dear old dad. And this is what his message is. They get the little blah blah blah, leave your tone at the beep, beep. And then I hear my dad say, tell him to call his dad. My dad never did quite get the hang of answering machines. He thinks they're people. And the conversation actually continued on for a while. There was a pause, and then all of a sudden I hear, are you writing this down? How is my boy supposed to know I'll ring-a-ling-ding-dim if you don't record the message? Why won't you talk to me? Eventually he got tired and he hung up, or the tape ran out. I don't know, I don't remember which. So either way, I go to my parents for dinner, and I walk in and I see my mom sitting at the table with some little girl. And she's like, oh, hello, Tommy, this is your niece. And I was like, Mom, my name's not Tommy. And she's like, oh, well, that's what the gypsies told me, Tommy. So I went to the living room and I'm like, hey, Dad, what's up? And he's like, boy, why don't you come and bubba my bongos? And I'm like, oh, Dad, I don't really feel like drawing a duck right now. And he pulls out his bongos and he gives them a dust, and then he pulls out another pair and he's like, boy, I think it's time you sat down and bubba with your papa. And I was like, oh, thank you, Nwimbian God. The last time I had any bonding time with my father was when he smuggled hash across the border in my diaper. So I'm sitting there and I'm bubba on my bongos with him. And all of a sudden he's like, boy, take a solo. And I did. And I sat there and I was feeling it, man. The spirit of Richard Feynman leapt into my soul, and I unleashed passionate fury on them bongos. And I finished up and I looked at my dad and he says, boy, maybe you should stick to drawing ducks. And I was like, ow. Just stupid beatniks. And then my mom's like, oh, Tommy, husband, it's dinner. So we go out, and as we're walking out to the kitchen, I'm like, hey, Dad, thought I was an only child. He's like, boy, you are. I'm sterile because of the power plant. And I was like, Dad, you never worked at a power plant. And he's like, I just don't know, boy. I just don't know. So we're sitting there having dinner, and Mom's going on about how Jolene, apparently this is my niece's name, is a great honor student and blah blah blah. And I'm like, hey, yeah, that's great. I don't have any siblings. How do I have a niece? And everybody just kept eating, and they're not even paying attention to my concerns. As we're having dessert, all of a sudden my niece looks at Ma, and she's like, Grandmama. She looks at Dad, and she's like, Pa, I'm a lesbian. And my mom says, oh, Julie, you're only 7. You don't know what a lesbian is. And my dad says, you shave. Lesbians don't shave. And my niece stays there, she's like, stop oppressing me. And she storms away. And I was looking for a reason to get the hell out anyways, so I'm like, hey, I'll go talk to her. So I found her out back playing baseball, and she's using a 2x4 as a bat, and Dad's car as a ball. And I walked over, and I'm like, hey, so what? So you like women. Lots of people do. She just looks up at me, and she's like, that's what a lesbian is? I thought it meant you were good at sports. Are they gone? Good. I tell you, these stories are getting harder and harder to tell. I'm gonna have to hire me a scriptwriter or get an assistant or